Saturday morning. It's May the 17th, and today we're going to read Matthew 9. I am reading from a different version this morning. I'm reading from the NIV, the Woman's Study Bible. It is NIV, which is not my favorite version. I like it, but it's not my go-to. But I've got a little bit of a headache this morning, and this Bible is actually larger print. It's easier for me to read. So Matthew 9, and the first section is titled, Jesus Forgives and Heals a Paralyzed Man. Jesus stepped into a boat, crossed over, and came to his own town. Some men brought to him a paralyzed man lying on a mat. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the man, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." At this, some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, "This fellow is blaspheming." Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts? Which is easier to say, "Your sins are forgiven," or to say, "Get up and walk"? But I want you to know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins. So he said to the paralyzed man, "Get up, take your mat, and go home." Then the man got up and went home. When the crowd saw this, they were filled with awe, and they praised God, who had given such authority to man. And the next section is titled, The Calling of Matthew. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, "It's not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." The next section is titled, Jesus' Question About Fasting. When John's disciples, that's John the Baptist, then John's disciples came and asked him, "How is it that we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not?" Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, then they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved." And this next is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. Jesus raises a dead girl and heals a sick woman. While he was saying this, a synagogue leader came and knelt before him and said, "My daughter has just died, but come and put your hand on her, and she will live." Jesus got up and went with him, and so did his disciples. Just then, a woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up. New pages. Came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said, "your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed at that moment. When Jesus entered the synagogue leader's house and saw the noisy crowd and people playing pipes, he said, "Go away. The girl is not dead, but asleep." But they laughed at him. After the crowd had been put out, he went in and took the girl by the hand, and she got up. News of this spread through all that region. And then the next section is titled, Jesus Heals the Blind and the Mute. As Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, calling out, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." When he had gone indoors, the blind men came to him, and he asked them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" "Yes, Lord," they replied. Then he touched their eyes and said, "According to your faith, let it be done to you." And their sight was restored. Jesus warned them sternly, "See that no one knows about this." But they went out and spread the news about him all over that region. While they were going out, a man who was demon-possessed and could not talk was brought to Jesus. And when the demon was driven out, the man who had been mute spoke. The crowd was amazed and said, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "It is by the prince of demons that he drives out demons." And then this last section is titled, "The Workers Are Few." Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." And that's something we all should consider, is that God didn't just call preachers to lead people to him. He wants all of us to do that. And part of the reason for that is there are people that will listen to you that might not listen to me, or they might not listen to somebody else. And there are people that I can talk to that might not listen to you. It's got to do with our personalities, how we relate to people. First of all, you have to be kind. I don't know if y'all watch Cliff. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. It's Knechle, I believe, on YouTube. And he visits, he's a pastor, and he visits college campuses. He'll go stand in a common area, and he'll just start speaking. And people gather around. Usually it's sponsored by a university student group, I believe. I believe that's how he's able to do that. But he comes at their invitation, and he comes and talks to people. People can ask questions, and he will answer. And I have seen him answer some very tough questions and deal with some very disrespectful people in a way that I only hope I can do. I've never seen him treat anybody disrespectfully. Now, he will call you out if you're obviously a very learned person who is arguing with you just for the sake of arguing. I have seen him stand up to those people and remind them that they're arguing just for the sake of arguing. But as long as someone is trying to find answers, he is very, very loving and kind and respectful, and he tells them the truth. And if he doesn't know, he says, "I don't know." But he is a good person to watch, and he's very encouraging to me. And I feel like if you watch him, you will too. But that's my point, is that when we're talking to people and trying to share Jesus with them, the first thing they have to know is that we care about them as individuals. We don't need to go at it like, well, if I bring 10 people to Jesus, I get a new toaster oven. We need to look at it that we're bringing people to Jesus. And if they're already a Christian, we can encourage them to grow deeper in their faith. If they're not Christians, we can encourage them to become Christians. So, but somebody has to know that you care about them before they're going to pay any attention to what you're saying. If you're rude or looking down on them or disrespectful, they're not going to care anything about what you say. Now, I will say this: if you are not sure that you know how to lead somebody to Jesus, that is a very easy thing. I like to use the Romans Road, and it's all scriptures in the book of Romans. And I actually have a Bible in my truck that I keep in my truck that has the Romans Road marked, so that I can find it easily, so I'm not having to flip back and forth, and so that I can show them that yes, all of this is in the Bible, because that's what you don't need to say. It's because I say, you say it because it's what Jesus says. So if you're not sure, and if you're not familiar with that, let me know. I'll be glad to send you a link to it. Or find your own way. There's the ABC thing, which is admit you're a sinner, believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and confess your sin. That's the start. There are other things that you need to do, but those are the first three things. And if you can just if you are able to help someone start down that road, that's a great beginning. And you don't have to, you don't need to think that you're going to bring everybody you talk to Jesus. You're planting seeds. That's what you're doing. Don't let it get up to you, into your mind, that if I don't bring all these people to Jesus, I'm a failure. No, if you plant a seed, you're successful. And that's all Jesus is asking us to do. Randy used to talk about a song that he would hear on the radio, and I don't know that I ever got to hear it, but he always talked about, and I think it was something along the lines of, sometimes it may take 17 people talking to a person before they actually make that decision. I just want to be one of the 17. I think that's how he was saying. But anyway, it's a process. People have to plant the seeds and then water them and encourage them, and just be a part of the process. Don't think you've got to do all of it. Just be a part of the process. So anyway, thank y'all for joining me this morning. Again, that was chapter 9, and won't be reading to you tomorrow unless something else happens, but I will see you on Monday. I hope you have a great day.